What up, trolls? It's your boy Willie Shakes coming live from Vinny. And today, I got something a little store for you. It's going to be my review over the Division 2. Now, obviously, you're looking at my live gameplay, so you'll probably notice that I have not completed this story, nor I haven't maxed out my guy either as well. So, being level 14, I've had to do some moving around, so this is just based off of what I've played so far, and just to get right into it, actually, I've had fun playing this video game, basically. I played the original one, Division, and a lot of this stuff that I've seen is what I really expected. So there's a little bit of change, not a whole lot, but I think when they did the video, for the trailer at least, that this is exactly what they wanted us to think of the actual gameplay being. So let's get right into it. Now, if you've watched, depending on how this is set up, we start out in DC with the story, and from where I'm at, my take on the story is obviously you have this outbreak that took place in the city, and now you have this basically terrorist group taken over, and there's other factions inside that. So you have the Hyenas, and then you also, I've seen the True Sons as far as I've gotten. So I'm sure there's probably a few more that I've yet to get to, but I imagine they're going to be just as difficult as where I'm at right now. So another unique thing about this, before I get too far with the story, is that I am doing this by myself, being the big bad lone wolf. And so I've gone into every mission without help. I've never asked to go into matchmaking at all. So this is what is also taking its sweet time for me. So, but let's get right back to the story part itself. Obviously, like I said, you have the outbreak took place. Then you have these other factions trying to take over the city. Now, what's really disappointing to me is there's not a lot of cutscenes. There are cutscenes, but it's nothing that's really memorable. Basically, what I mean by that is if you've played Destiny or Destiny 2, then you know there's definitely cutscenes that are really good and you can remember things. Whereas in this, obviously I know there's Odessa Sawyer, but outside of that, there's other people that are going to be on what they call a roster at the headquarters back in DC, but outside of that, it's really lacking some story mode, and I definitely believe that's just because there's not a lot of cutscenes involved. Now, for some of the gameplay, there's a lot that goes on. Obviously, this game is fully customizable, or customization, however you want to say it, but it's really unique to how you want to play. You have perks, you have skills, and a lot of things where I didn't know on the perks. There are certain things you have to go after, and they call them shade cash or shade techs that you have to get, and you can upgrade your skills with those. And then also your perks, you have unique skill points. So certain missions, which I thought as soon as you leveled up, you got one of those skills. Unfortunately, that was not the case. I had to go to YouTube and actually look on how to get a different perk, because I was really upset with the first perk that I chose, and then I realized what I wanted to go back with was going to have the drone and the turret. So the drone and the turret are what I'm using right now. I have a lot of fun with both of those because, again, being a lone wolf, the difficulty is so much harder, so I have to be very precise on when to use both of them and when to also kill them. And what I mean by kill them is if you clear out a certain area, you can kill the perk itself and it won't be over 100 seconds. A lot of times it can be like 90 seconds. Sometimes it can be a little bit more, but if you kill it beforehand by holding down the left button or the right button, it can only, once you kill it, it gets to like roughly 50 seconds. So it comes back a lot faster. So that's one thing that I would always recommend. If once you clear out a spot, remember to do that. But let's say you didn't want one of those perks, you have your choices, and then obviously you're going to need the Shade Tech cash points to upgrade those perks. So, and the next thing you have your skills, and the great thing about the skills is it gives you a little bit more identity to how you want to play the game itself, as I would say. So, and you can upgrade each one, and eventually, once you get to level 30, you can max them out, because some of them you can't even get till you're a certain level, and some of them cost more Shade Tech points at that point. So then, of course, what was great about the Division 1 and Division 2 brought it back as well is the crafting, re-rolling certain weapons and armor. So there's a lot that goes on, and even when you get down into it, it seems like it's overwhelming at a certain point, and that's because it took me till about level 12 or even 13 where I really felt comfortable with the game itself, because there was so much in the apparel part, and then there's other little stuff that you can do that's just so overwhelming that you're like, what am I doing? How do I got to do this? So I really just stuck with knowing my guns and then my armor. Those are the really only things that I stuck with, and then eventually I started to branch out a little bit and got a little comfortable with the apparel of my character, and then other things as well that were small and minute. But now, with the being a lone wolf, there is a very high degree of difficulty, and I can't tell you how many times I've died, because there's countless times that I have died, and it's unbelievable that one game can make me so upset at certain points. But it's just because of you have one time, not even one time really, you have the NPCs that chase after you with the melee weapons, and then this is where things get a little bit different for me. So one of the negative things that I don't like, and I'm finally getting used to it, is the difficulty of the controls. Because basically it is a cover and shoot type game, which I'm not really a big fan of, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes a little bit easier for you. But that's the thing. The whole duck and cover and shoot, and then you got somebody running up on you with a melee, so I have to back away from the wall. That's where my basically hands get a little messed up from going from A to B, because you have obviously the jump over the wall with B, which I think there are a lot of things that they did well with that, because if you've ever ran up on the front of a hood running, you do the old cop slide or the Dukes of Hazzard slide, which I think is really, really cool. And I've done that a lot just to have fun with that. But that's where if you're ducking and on the cover and someone runs up on you, it's such a hassle to back away from the wall and then shoot that guy with the melee attack. And then at that point, you're out in the open for anybody. Now, they have definitely kept it with the old, basically the leveling system of the enemies. So you're going to have the red, and then the purple, and then the gold. At least far as I've seen, there's nothing else, but I could be wrong. Again, like I said, I have not gone that far. So with that, I still love that, because, when you see a gold person, you obviously know they're going to be a heavy person. They're gonna come at you with everything they got. Technically, it's a boss, which is still, again, it's the degree of difficulty when you're by yourself is up there. So again, that's where things are a little bit different. Now, one other thing that is completely different is you're going to notice that there are settlements. You're going to have certain settlements where you can upgrade those. That is one thing that I really, really like. But again, this is where are some of the things useful? Is it necessary for the settlement to upgrade certain ones, like the projects? I think those are pretty cool that you have to do certain things in certain areas for the project to be accomplished. But again, it reminds me of there was a game, I forget, it was on Xbox, it just came out. I want to say it wasn't Dead by Daylight, but I forget what it was. It reminds me more of State of Decay, that's what it was. State of Decay 2, where you had to upgrade everything. I got Vinny over here over my shoulder whispering sweet nothings into my ear, so... But that's where, is it worth it for that part? I can't say that I like that part, but it is something that keeps you going into the story itself, and then it keeps you busy. It's busy work, I would say that for a fact. The other thing is there's a lot more safe houses, so it is a huge map if you've realized, and if you wanted to walk, it could take you a good 10-15 minutes to get to a certain area, but thankfully they got the fast travel, which is nice. And then of course, when we get down to the nitty gritty, the best part to me is obviously the Dark Zone, which I've yet to get into, so I'm not going to talk too much on that. But for as far as where I'm at right now, the game has been every bit of $60. Now, is it worth $60? I would say yes. Hands down, it is to me, because I know for a fact that I'm going to keep playing it. And then I'm going to be excited when I max out to at least level 30. And if they keep you going from, if anything like Destiny, where you can go past a certain level as well. So hopefully they keep adding updates to it where you can get farther and farther into the leveling system. And then possibly in the future keep up, add another story to it if they can. And just kind of go from there. Alright guys, and we're going to end it here. And for my final review of it, out of 10, I'm going to give it 8 Shade Tech points for that. I think it's worth every bit of the $60 to me. So, there you have it. Trolls, if you'd like to join me on Xbox, you can catch me at Gamertag Willie Shakes. And don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel, trolls.